Good evening, lamb chops. It is I, your favorite fluffy vampire Boomba. Hope we're all doing good. I'm still, like, kind of sort of recovering from last night's Faith stream. Like, not physically, just mentally and emotionally. Like, it kind of looks like a fever dream when I look back at, like, the stream. I'm just like, yeah, that all happened, and we were just like, yeah, that's normal. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm excited to play that again, but today we got 2 more chapters in Higurashi to get through. So, yeah, I guess we're just gonna get into that. Here we go. What happened last time? Oh yeah, and I think I fucked up and I gave this the same title as the last 2 chapters, so I gotta try and make a mental note to, like, fix that. Sorry. I have so much water with me, so hopefully we can get through this without me dying. Alright. Continue. Load. Yes. I also still don't know how many chapters there are for sure. It could be the same as the last one, or it couldn't be. We just don't know. I let out a great big yawn. It was like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. As Mom set up breakfast, she gave me a pained smile. What's the matter, Keiichi? What time did you go to sleep last night? Well, I wanted to go to sleep at midnight, but I had some trouble with that. We were probably all worked up from the festival. No, that's not it. Munch, munch. I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. After all that happened yesterday, and our discussion about the sound Shion heard, that banging noise like a child far away, jumping up and down on the wooden floor. Oh, hi! How's it going? Glad you can make it. The story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night, and I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unbearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up in the morning sunlight and the birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning. I'm at a meeting about to start, but I just want to pop by and hope the stream goes well. Yee, thank you! Good luck at the meeting. Keiichi-kun, good morning. Huh? Keiichi-kun, your eyes are all red. Why is that? Why? Oh hey, good morning. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm sleep deprived today. Yawn. The festival yesterday was a lot of fun. Reina's excitement took a long time to go to sleep, so I took a long time to get to sleep too. To sleep. In Reina's case, her excitement seemed to be still wide awake. They should have the kind of festival more often. So we can have lots of fun together again, huh? Yeah. Reina talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten about last night. So much too much copium, Keiichi. Dude, we are gonna be huffing all of it, guaranteed. The inside of the ritual storehouse had been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life at Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me, too. The mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year. The strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying traditions of the Onikakushi village. The villagers with demon blood in them. The terrible cannibalistic feasts. The poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages victims of the onikakushi. To quell the rage of a Yashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There were many, many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either. They were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real, though. Hold up. I'm worried the music might be too loud. Eh? Okay. We didn't need to fear them because they were real, though, since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago. Where's Mi-chan? She's late. Huh? Before I realized it, we had arrived at the place where we'd usually meet Myon. Probably because I was so lost in thought. We agreed that if she wasn't there by now, we could just go ahead, right? Should we? Myon being late wasn't too rare of an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few of the ominous tales from the night before came back to my life in my mind again. Who would die this year and who would disappear? It couldn't have been Myon. What should we do, Keiichi-kun? If we don't get going, we'll be late. She'll be here. She didn't call to tell us she'd be staying home, right? Let's just wait 5 more minutes, okay? Reina looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then nodded with a satisfied smile. If we had to wait 5 minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to get to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Myon running towards us, out of breath. Michan! You're late! Ha! Ha! You waited. You should have just gone ahead. Myon was breathing heavily, and her face was all red. Her house was right down the road, wasn't it? It wasn't far enough away where she'd end up like this, was it? Michan, are you not feeling well? Huh? Now that she mentioned it, Reina pushed Myon's bangs away and put her hand on her forehead. Reina, your hand is pretty cold. Michan, you're a little bit warm. Yeah, it's no big deal. Give it half a day and I'll be fit as a fiddle. Are you really okay? You don't have to push yourself, you know. What's this? Kei-chan, are you worried about me? That's nice of you. That answer wasn't like Myon at all. She must have had it pretty bad. I just think you shouldn't push yourself too hard. We can tell the teacher you had to take a day off. I'm fine. I took some medicine. I think it's working already. Myon forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us. Okay, let's go. Don't overdo it, but of course, there's the time. What? Oh, we need to run or we won't make it. This morning sure is thrilling. Maybe it's just what we needed to shake off the slowness. Let's run. Hey, wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Myon began to run vigorously away. Michan is older than us, right? She knows her own body better than anyone. I decided to leave it at that and assume that she was fine. Great. Then let's get going too. We began to run after Myon. The school looked the same as always. The hours passed listlessly, and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be the world champion right now. The trick of overpowering this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your own pencil upside down. Why, you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while you're half asleep. If you're holding your pencil upside down, that wouldn't happen now, would it? Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times. Ow! What was that for, Satoko? I haven't done a single thing! Who else would play a prank on me like that? Ah, it's chalk, not an eraser. Huh? Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold razors, was the teacher's shadow holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. My Barakun. Go and wash your face. Right. Gladly. That alone was enough to make me wake up, but I flew out in the hallway, as if shoved out by pressure executed by the teacher's sheer power. If I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. The sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. I turned the faucet, and with a lifeless bubbling noise, lukewarm water came pouring out. If I let it run for a few moments, would it get cold? I looked at them absent-mindedly for a while. I knew you'd choose these sinks, Kei-chan. The ones in the front just feel better, don't they? Huh? Myon? No cutting class now. I stuck my hands into the water and found I had gotten so cold it seemed strange, like it had never been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it on my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way and Myon did the same. Myon, how's your cold doing? You're sleepy because of the medicine, not lack of sleep, right? Actually, this is a secret, but after the festival yesterday, I got wrapped up in the party my relatives were having. And well, I had a bit. I made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth, which means she didn't have a cold or anything. Are you hungover? How old are you? Give me a break. I really didn't feel well, you know. I suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Still, you treat colds and hangovers completely different ways. I was worried over nothing. Man, I guess that's just like you, Mion. Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now that I knew it was a hangover, I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away after time, after all. Oh, but my head really is pounding, so the teacher told me I should go home early. You cheater. So are you gonna go home now, Mion? Now that I looked again, Mion had her bag with her. She must have been on her way out. Yep, I feel bad about it, though. I'll get some rest at home like a good girl. Sorry I can't make it to the club. Would you take over as leader for today, Kei-chan? I don't know if that'll happen. We have that unspoken rule that if we don't do club unless everyone's there, don't we? We never did it when you had to do your part-time job, did we? Mion laughed wearily, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about your friends who can't share it is a sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club Mion had created is a wonderful thing. As I thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. I suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I'd get in trouble. Okay, later. I'm gonna go back. Be careful on your way home. Don't wobble into a sewer or a brook or something, got it? I left it at that, turned around and started heading back to the classroom. Oh, one more thing, Kei-chan. Mion stopped me and I turned my head to listen. Yeah, what's up? This may sound weird, but don't think too hard about it. That depends on what it is. Last night, near the end of the festival, did you see Tomotaki-san or Takano-san anywhere? I suddenly tensed up. You know, Tomotaki-san and Takano-san, right? You remember, Kei-chan, when the four of you were talking during the setup the day before? If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the storehouse that night as soon as possible. So hearing the names of the people I was with at that time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking me a question like that? I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I had seen them or not, or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell. Well, maybe. I might have seen them around. I don't know. My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There was no way for me to know. I see. Then, one more question. On the same night, did you see Shion? My heart leapt into my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me. Wait, didn't you ask me that yesterday? I think I told you that I wasn't sure if I had or not. Did you? I guess I just thought I'd get a different answer if I asked you again. I suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes. Something indescribable. Tomotaki-san and Takano-san. Shion too. She was asking me about them. There was no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? There's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. And that rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. It was nothing strange. I screwed up a bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen the momentary light and come to find out what was going on. Did you really not see her? Why are you so intent on knowing if I did or didn't? It's not important. It's just, there are some people who are speaking poorly of Tomotaki-san, Takano-san, Shion, and you, Kei-chan. I didn't really hear what they were saying, though. A pleasant sweat dripped down my arms. and the sound of hanging from my fingertips was so annoyingly loud. I don't believe that you were doing something bad. I just wanted to ask you about it, so I did. Sorry for making you uncomfortable, alright? I found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious that the truth was, and yet I couldn't explain myself. Kei-chan, you weren't with Tomotaki-san, Takano-san, or Shion, right? Yeah. I finally wrung out an answer between ragged breaths. Miona's expression softened a little. That's good. I'll have to tell them. You weren't involved in anything bad, Kei-chan. So I'll make sure to tell everyone. Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone. Make sure. Everyone. Everyone. Who is everyone? Okay, later. I'll be better tomorrow. Bye-bye. Wait, Mion. What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. Hey, you're late, my Barakun. How long does it take to wash your face? It was the teacher. I was taking so long she'd come out to get me. Ah, sorry. I was just talking to Mion. I turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it, and was now standing at the gate. Come back to your studies. Quickly now. The teacher was being insistent. We returned into the entrance. I looked back one more time, and Mion was nowhere in sight. Oh boy. Keiichi, you haven't seemed well all day.
It's clearly because he had far too much fun yesterday.
I don't want to be told by the one who got lost. Your face was all red when you were nearly crying.
Satoko-chan was so cute last night. Oh.
My friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? Had I really done something that terrible last night? These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day.
Bye, Keiichi-kun. I'll see you tomorrow.
By the time I had realized it, I was in front of my own house.
Mi-chan had a cold, right? Could you have a cold too, Keiichi-kun? Could you?
Huh? Oh, I'm fine. I may look scrawny, but I've never missed school because of a cold.
Both you and Mi-chan didn't look so good today, though.
Thanks for worrying about me. I'm fine. Idiots don't catch colds, remember? Reina smiled, then waved to me and left. With my shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavy, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me. What?
Keiichi?
I'm sorry, but could you go to the library and return a few books for me? Huh? I don't feel like it. Your dad and I have to wait inside the house for a phone call right now, so we can't leave. I need to return them today. Please, could you do it? Sheesh. Did it have to do Dad's job? No point in arguing if they bring it up that. I guess so, but I don't know where the library is. Oh, you don't? It's a little bit past Okinomiya Station. Just then the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the receiver. Hello? My bar is speaking. I'm sorry? Oh, yes, he's here. Then she thrust the receiver at my face. It's for you, Keiichi. Don't take too long, okay? I tried to ask who it was from, asking the person on the phone directly would be faster. Hello? Ah, this is Sonozaki. Well, the younger one. Hello. Do you have time to talk right now? It was Shion. The older sister had a hangover today, but the younger one made no reference to it. Shion? I thought you'd be sleeping in today with a hangover, same as Mion. What? Mion had a hangover? That's so like her. She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up. Oops, sorry. My parents are waiting for an important call, so I can't talk too long. What did you need? There's something I want to talk about, but if we can't talk long, I guess that's that. She sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk about? Now I was interested. Then how about we meet in person? If you could show me where the library is too, that would be great. Oh, you mean the public library near the station? Yeah, that's fine. I'll go past there on my way to work anyway. Okay, then you know where I usually meet up with Mion? At that intersection at the small path. The Sonozaki house splits. Oh, Kei-chan. Did I not tell you? I don't live at the main house. I live in Okinomiya. If we could meet by the ticket machines at the Okinomiya station, that'd be great. Main house? Living in Okinomiya? Now that she mentioned it, it's always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. Did they live in different houses? Also, now that she mentioned it, Reina said she'd never met the younger sister, despite going over to play sometimes. Let's meet at the station, then. I'll go there right now. Right away. I set the receiver down and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies.
Thank you, Keiichi. Be back before nightfall.
Got it. Alright, I'm going. I suppose I'd change my clothes and grab my bike key. I climbed the stairs to my bedroom. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth process. Wow, Mion never keeps her appointments. I mean, honestly. Making my sister the standard for everything will get you in trouble. Shion seemed a little unsteady, too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she? You were drinking last night, too, weren't you? Don't try and hide it. You definitely went home for school early. Oh, too bad. I've been at home all day in the first place. I'm smarter than Mion after all. Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter. You should finish your errand first. We don't have that much time. We're going to the library, right? Yeah, thanks. My mom had to return some books by today. Is the library far? Nah, it's really close. As she said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. It was this easy to find, then I guess I don't need Shion to help me find it after all. We rode around the bend, and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. The first floor was actually a government office, so the library was only the second floor, but still, looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. We passed through the automatic doors and were greeted by the cool breeze of an air curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet in the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had a mildewy smell of unique old paper. I guess every library is basically the same. If there was one difference, it was that the people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now it seemed like a distant memory. Hello, I have books I'd like to return. The librarian went through the process of checking them in, and then returned Mion's library card. Returned my mom's library card. Shion was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to libraries very often. Sorry for the wait. I'm all done. Libraries sure are nice and cool, aren't they? I want to work in a library one day. Don't know whether to call it boring or dependable. It's a pretty small dream compared to your sister. Mion would definitely want to be a hard-working employee for an international trading company or some other crazy job involved her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming. Well, we need to keep our differences dear to us. We're not copies. We're two different people. Called Shion and Mion. Twins have a lot to think about, huh? Still, it sounds like fun. I don't have any brothers, so it's just me and my parents in the house. It can get a little uncomfortable. It's the same for me. I don't live with Mion after all. Oh, right. She said something like that, didn't she? Why, though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to a lounge area which was vacant, continuing the conversation. Yeah, Mion lives in the main house and I live in Okinomiya. What do you mean by main house? You make it sound like you're nobility. It's just the main house. The Sonozaki's family's main house. Mion's the successor, so she lives with Nana and apparently studies all sorts of things in preparation to be head of the family. Mion, head of the family. Kinda fit her personality, but kinda also didn't. Kei-chan, you just moved here, right? This will sound like I'm boasting, but we of the Sonozaki family are kinda personages around here? Huh? Seriously? The word personage didn't really match the extreme sociability air of Mion and Shion gave off. From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended the influence in a wide area. The Sonozaki house was a foundation under which the entire family cooperates. Through the current family head, Grandma was the one who built it. The entire family would provide backup and help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge living company. This let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed one after another, using large amounts of money. If you ever go for a walk through Okonomiya, pay attention to the signboards and stuff. There's a ton of shops that are managed by members of the Sonozaki family. Now that you mention it, that toy store looked like it was managed by relatives as well. Does that mean your relatives operate Angel Mart too? Even with few shops, I was familiar that they were involved in the Sonozaki family. It was definitely surprising. The family is particularly strong in finance and real estate. Even a lot of members of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry either have past last name Sonozaki or are relatives. There are a lot of Sonozakis in the city council and the prefectural assembly too, since they have the Okonomiya era giving them strong electoral support. Wait a minute. This is all escalating pretty quickly. Her relatives operate shops in the downtown Okonomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate? On top of that, a lot of those in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives, and there are even people elected to local offices? So then, the Sonozaki family it's pretty famous in this area. Yeah, it's crazy. All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy. Hello. Good afternoon. Are you on a date today? What I would give to be young again. If you thought we were on a date, then why are you bothering us? Oishi-san. That was it. He was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was a person who came to rescue when I got involved in those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much. No, I apologize. I heard a familiar voice, so I came over to see. Oishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any sign of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I did from Mion. Maibara-san, right? You're the one tough guy. Two-time the Sonozaki sisters, are you? No, I'm not two-timing anyone. I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock. Sorry, Kei-chan. I really need to get to my job. Huh? Oh, did you... Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Now this weird man is here, though. I'll see you later. Or I'll give you a call after I'm done. It'll be okay to call at night, right? Yeah, probably okay. Now I'll talk to you later. Bye! Boy, let me get a sip of my water. I hate how calm this is right now. The piano and shit, bro. Shion left so fast she was practically running. Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. I felt like I'd been left here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work. You're quite a big shot being so close to the Sonozaki daughters. Maybe I should rethink how to talk to you too. Oishi-san put a coin in a vending machine as he said something a bit appalling. Is iced tea okay with you? Do you want milk in it? Huh? Oh, no, I'll put some in then, alright? Here you are. He handed me a cup of tea, filled to the brim with ice, and I looked at it absent-mindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but... He did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Oishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other so well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought back to how I talked to Shion, this seemed like a total disaster. Maibara-san, how much do you know about Sonozaki-san? Other than what I heard just now, nothing. Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was a daughter of some prestigious family. The Sonozakis are a Yakuza group with this entire region under their thumb. Plus, her father is a high-ranking executive in the XX Yakuza Association. Did you know that? What? An executive? Have you ever seen where Shion-san lives? It's a very picture of the gang boss's house, protected by high walls, barbed wire fence, and security cameras. If you have a chance, you should go and visit her. She'd mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a Yakuza group? No. Not at all, not at all. A boring old Yakuza group isn't the only thing Mion Sonozaki-san will inherit. She's inheriting the Sonozaki family itself. I'll leave it up to you to mull that over as to what exactly that means. Oshi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the slightest. It was abrupt and unbelievable. If Mion-san wanted to, she could kill someone in the middle of the street and still cover it up. Not only could witnesses not show up, but she'd put pressure on the police, too. Mion would never kill anyone. She wouldn't. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Your name, it was Oshi-san, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Oshi-san. Whatever family Mion comes from, it doesn't change the fact that she's the best friend I've ever had to have, and I'm proud of that. I don't appreciate people speaking ill of her. I let my quiet anger show through my gaze as I glared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if I had any effect. Then let me be frank. If Mion-san was suspected for a handful of incidents, what would you think? Suspected? Incidents? You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim. Then it would be a misunderstanding, of course. Mion could say some dangerous things, but she's not the kind of person who would do something so awful. Maibara-san, keep your voice down. We're in a library. Oshi-san hushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calmed so easily. Please calm down. As I said before, the Sonozaki family holds a lot of power in the region, for better or for worse. So if anything happens, they would immediately be suspects. I'd appreciate it if you understood that. Well, I know what Oshi-san is trying to say. Combining it with that Michonne told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion Uewa is its successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her? I'm just doing my job here. Not to doubt Mion-san of anything, but to clear up suspicions surrounding her. Please think of it like that. He could talk a dog out of meat truck. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him. Oshi-san, do you need something from me? Yes, I do. Keiichi Maibara-san. He answered in an absent tone of voice. Mion's being suspected of something, and you came to hear from a friend of hers, me. Is that it? No, that isn't it. I didn't come to talk to a friend of Mion Sonozaki-san. I came here to talk to you, Keiichi Maibara-san. It would probably have bothered you had I visited your house. To me? What did the police want with me? Having realized this faked coincidental meeting had met its target, my mood immediately turned foul. You don't need to be so tense. Calm down. Just answer a few questions. Am I being questioned? Let's call it a chat with a guy who happened to run into you. Oshi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind my eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes, that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried Devane to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to the interrogation room or something. That was undoubtedly a pleasant thought. We had a roaring good time at the Watanagashi festival last night, didn't you? Don't beat around the bush, please. I can't do small talk right now. Last night, during the festival. Did you see Jiro Tomotaki-san and Mion Tonotaki-san? I could plainly feel myself give a start. Huh? Where did I put those pictures? Oh, here they are. He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look. Well, who knows? I might have seen them around, but I don't remember. I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time, too. Your memory's blurry. You couldn't have possibly been drinking or anything. Here, too. I got the same answer as I had from Mion. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why? Is he asking me the same thing Mion did? The dark feelings I had nearly forgotten, to my conversation with Shion, came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was only a tiny impulse. While it may not count for much now, I do feel sorry about it. I'll ask you again. Did you see Jiro Tomotaki-san and Mio Takano-san at the festival last night? His tone was soft, but there was dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he had asked. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt. Even if you repeat the question, my answer won't change. I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit that I had. I see. I just thought that maybe I'd get a different answer if I asked you a second time. I'm too scared to look Oshi-san in the eyes. I'll change the question. Come, my Bara-san. Relax, relax. Oshi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them, as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt, though. Still. Why? Why would he ask me the same things as Mion? If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be... On the same night of the festival, did you see Shion Sonozaki-san? I wondered what that sound was, and when I looked down I saw there was unmelted ice in the cup gripping my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it. Sorry. I may have seen her, but, well, you know, she looks just like Mion. I might have just mistaken the two. But that can't be. Suddenly Oshi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down and gave me a level stare. This must be what it's like, to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This is the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare. Mion-san and Shion-san wear completely different clothing. You wouldn't have mistaken the two so easily, I would think. My Bara-san. His voice was harsh. Harsh the same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel through the hands of my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Oshi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking to the storehouse so... bad? I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomotaki-san casually said to check it out too, so... Even Shion. If she hadn't encouraged me... No. I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into that forbidden storehouse. Oh, Oshi-san. I think that's our cue to get out of here. A young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he had held himself, I knew immediately that he was Oshi-san's subordinate. Ah, so it is. Closing time already. I hadn't realized until he had said something. The jingle and announcement telling patrons of the library was closing started playing around me without me realizing. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it. Well then, my Bara-kun, we're out of time, so allow me to take my leave. I'd like to talk with you more about this at your leisure, when you have more time. This isn't a joke. If I ever saw him again, it would be too soon. Oshi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around. Oh, right, my Bara-san. What is it? Those two questions I asked you before. You don't remember well enough to answer either of them, correct? Right. Just so you know. You saw them all yesterday. You were walking along, the four of you, having quite the pleasant time. Near the stone steps. I saw you with my own eyes. I caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew and he was testing me. We'll meet again. Have a good year. I sat there like a rock, unmoving. until I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of their footsteps. Bro knew it. I was on my way back home. The cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I'd thought. The orange of the dusky sky had been chased down, little by little, by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing, I'd gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it up the hill. I didn't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. No. In fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It really was no more than a quiet prank. No more than having my courage to cross at the red light as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements, hallowed ground, only accessible to the family of the priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away in there. It didn't make it the wrong that I'd committed any more right. What the four of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us had did. Did we do something so bad? Really, it doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. It was nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oshi-san for all I shielded myself with my ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw there. I won't do it ever again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I apologize like that, will they forgive me? The suddenly cool evening air left more room for such sentiment. However, it was mercilessly chilled by defeat, urging me to head home as soon as possible. And in the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along the isolated road, regrets would pile up on top of regrets, and nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, and go to my room, and put on my favorite music or something, and then go to bed. That might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I've made the decision, there's no point in dawdling in this place. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I suddenly gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good. As if it were softly punishing me. I didn't eat much for dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called for me downstairs. Keiichi, you have a call. It's from Sonozaki-san. Sonozaki? Was it Mion? Nah, it was Shion. I just remembered. She'd had something she wanted to tell me today. Oshi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight. Hello? Is that you, Shion? Hello. Ran into a bit of trouble today, didn't we? She said it so plainly I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me and ran. Don't say that. I gave you the signal to run away with me, didn't I? You just sat there looking dazed, Kei-chan. I wasn't dazed. All of a sudden you left me there, and after that I'd have put up with that Oshi guy for ages. Oh, don't complain to me about it. I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this, different? I got a little irritated at myself, and I realized I was, somewhere in my mind, hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person. Ah, sorry. Next time I'll run away first thing and leave you there. Hey, it's ladies first! Shion laughed refreshingly. When I had heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be... Anyway, you had something you wanted to tell me, right? Oh, yeah. I mean, if you already know, then it's not something that bears repeating. Do you know? She lowered her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know. Sorry, but I have no clue what you're talking about. At least give me a hint. So that means you don't know. She seemed to have my stupid-sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest. Actually, it's about last night, during the Watanagashi festival. My entire body jolted as I assailed my terrible feeling. Is Shion gonna ask me the same thing? Hello? Kei-chan, are you listening? Yeah, I am. What about last night? The four of us went in there, right? She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't happened. Then after that, we walked away together, and then went our separate ways near the stone stairs, right? Takano-san and Tomotaki-san went to the stream, and you stayed there, Kei-chan. I went over to see some relatives. Yeah. Why do you ask? We won't make any progress if we keep asking each other these questions, so let me ask this question first, okay? You mean, did I see Tomotaki-san and Takano-san last night? Huh? Oh, yeah. Did you see the two of them after that? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This was the third time I'd been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on? Why? Why are you asking me that? No, Kei-chan, I'm asking the question. Please answer me. Did you, Shion? If I answer first, then you'll answer. My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now. Even everything that had happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me. Of course I didn't see them. My relatives were with me, and they can vouch for that. I didn't see them either. People can vouch for me too, like Mio and Reina and everyone else. And now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh and sounded more relieved than anything else. Thank you for answering me honestly. Okay then, I'll tell you. Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomotaki-san died. Sorry, Shion. What was that you just said? Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomotaki-san died. Takano-san was found burned to death. Tomotaki-san was... well, it looked like suicide. I found out this morning. I heard my dad talking to a relative on the phone about it. Late last night, a police car on its way back from the festival security duty had discovered Tomotaki-san laying in the middle of the road heading towards Okonomiya. He had clawed out his own throat and died. What? He clawed out his own throat? That bright, cheerful Tomotaki-san committed suicide? That can't possibly be right. The police did an autopsy. He did it with his own fingernails. He scratched at his throat so hard and ruptured the blood vessels and he bled out. He died in a pool of his own blood. That's what they say. I've never heard of such an insane suicide. You can't just scratch open your own throat like that. I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched the cordless phone and ran up to my room. Sorry for yelling. So, was Takano-san, was that suicide too? In her case, it's a little unclear. Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of the Gyufu Prefecture. Employees at the rest stop nearby reported to the police late last night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched her were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was a burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after, there was a request from a dental comparison to the prefecture police station in Okonomiya, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere in the area. The oil drum that had fallen over, so it's also possible she burned herself to death. It couldn't possibly have been suicide. If you're going to die, there are plenty of easier ways, aren't there? This can't be suicide. That's what I think. It's unthinkable that Tomotaki-san would kill himself, too. After the two of us rattled at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. And as we calmed our nerves, right then, I understood what Shion's story actually meant. I think it will end up being Oyashiro-sama's curse. We all did more than enough to deserve it, after all. Deserve? You gotta be kidding me. It's not like Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come from blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. I lost in my own half-assed sense of adventure, and I agreed to go with them. Yeah, it was my fault and no one else's. Shion, last night when we snuck into the ritual storehouse, did you predict things would turn out this way? Of course not. I mean, I thought it was pretty risky, but I never dreamed something like this would happen. Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she was going to get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me. Besides that, Kate-chan, think about it for a moment. Didn't Oyashiro-sama's curse turn into a little bit strange this year? It was already plenty strange, seeing as how Tomotaki-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger? I mean that they found 2 corpses. Remember what I said? Every other year, one would die, one would disappear. This year, it's the first time 2 people have been found dead. That may be true, but that's not a huge deal, is it? It is, Kei-chan. Think about it harder. Listen. If 2 people died because of Oyashiro-sama's curse, then in order to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger, 2 people would need to be sacrificed. Is that how it works? So what? Tomotaki-san and Takano-san died, so now 2 people are going to go missing this year? I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze. I don't think anyone's been confirmed missing yet. I think that those 2 people have yet to disappear. Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back. 2 people have yet to disappear? Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept through my clothes and tried to wrap its fist around my heart, cold hands, feeling about in my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomotaki-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them, none other than us. No. This had got to be a joke. I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke, even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomotaki-san and Takano-san had died in the common way like a car accident, I could tell myself it was coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat, and she burned to death, drummed in oil in the mountains. The 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept the terrifying truth. If I did, then I would be acknowledging that the horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away. In the first place, it's not even in the newspaper, is it? Such a monstrous incident would be all over the newspapers and television. Magazine writers would flood the village too, thinking it'd be for an interesting story. Of course it's not getting reported to the media. That's how it was in the past too. When the incidents occurred the 3rd year in the row, there were some kind of third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it's become a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media. I hear the elders and the top brass from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police. Then you mean their deaths? Are they going to be dealt with in total secrecy? That's how it is. Of course, the police are investigating it. That's being performed in secret too, though. So I hear the investigation itself is very restricted in what they can and can't do. You could essentially say they're interfering with a police investigation. The story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret? If we break it down further, it means that no matter who dies the night of Watanagashi, it won't go public. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard. Kei-chan, before I said how the villagers could be the ones carrying out Oyashiro-sama's curse, that's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Hinamizawa, where every year, you're allowed to kill someone on the night of Watanagashi under the guise of it being Oyashiro-sama's curse. When someone dies on the night of Watanagashi, it turns into a curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into a serial murder incident. In other words, in order to avoid extirpating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret. That's insane! Dead and missing people turn up every year. However bad the stigma gets, the police have to draw the line somewhere, don't they? You could say the incidents happening every year is mysterious, but the police can get the job done when they need to. After all, the incidents always get resolved individually. It doesn't end up being a string of incidents, you know? It just so happens that something unfortunate happens on the night of Watanagashi every year. That's all it turns into. Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get away and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was, in essence, resolved. The dam supporting couple who died in the accident on the second year, that was accidental death, plain and simple. They made out a lot of investigations into the possibility of having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up being an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't homicide. That was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the dam-supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychokinetic usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it. The criminal died of an accident while imprisoned, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved. Oh man. So then, why does an unfortunate coincidence occur every year on the night of Watanagashi? You can try and say it's a string of related incidents, but they're not related. Yet, every year, someone always dies, and someone always disappears. The story Takano-san told me the day before during the setup. Now that the curse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off. Then, does that mean it'll come for us too? Just like how one person dies and one disappears every year? Are they saying we'll be taken along with Tomotaki-san and Takano-san and erased too? My lips had at some point become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me. Well, I mean, sure, we went somewhere we shouldn't have, but we were just looking, right? We didn't steal anything or take anything, or we didn't tell anyone we looked, right? I was already regretting having committed to such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad? That Tomotaki-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths? Besides, I didn't care about anything I saw in there at all. Takano-san was the only one getting so happy over it, wasn't she? Takano-san was the only one at fault. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm not interested. I'm not involved. I don't give a shit about what was in there. I knew saying so would solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore. I didn't have any interest in any of this from the start, damn it! All I wanted to do was watch Rika-chan's performance. You were the one who pulled me away from that, weren't you, Shion? I don't give a rat's ass whether these two were trying to steal something or try to meet up secretly or whatever. That's right. You're the one who made me go in there in the first place, Shion. You were all,
Kei-chan, you need to see what's inside.
and you convinced me and then pulled me in. Why the hell did you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you gonna do, damn it? How are you gonna take responsibility for this? Huh? Hey, are you listening? Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of the receiver being slammed down. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled-up emotions disappeared as if they'd never existed, and their place was surged away as deep with regret and having to run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okonomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopelessness and regret. I returned the receiver to the stand and simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion. Calm down and call me again. Hello, this is Maibara. I swept at the receiver as though I wouldn't go through if I didn't grab the exact moment. Is this the Maibara residence? Excuse me for this late call. I am Kimiyoshi. This is the head of the household? It was the voice of a middle-aged man. All my hopes rushed out of me. No, it isn't. If you need Dad, I'll go call him. I went to put the receiver back down, but the man stopped me hurriedly. Oh, no. If he's busy, that's fine. This may be a strange question, but is my old man paying you a visit? No, nobody's here at this moment. I see. Again, I apologize for calling you so late at night. Goodbye. I didn't know who that was, but if Shion tried to call while I was talking to him, I thought, bubbling with ecstatic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are selfish emotions that made Shion mad, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought about Shion. I had given up hope at the short time since I had our conversation and didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. Ooh. More tips, baby. Kimiyoshi. That's one of the other head families of Higurashi. Hinamizawa, I'm pretty sure. Let's view all tips here. Oh, not all tips. I changed my mind. Show me the new ones. View new tips. Thank you. Late night phone call. Excuse me for the late call. I'm Kimiyoshi. Is this the head of the household? Yes. No, not at all. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Well, you see... Oh, I do apologize for calling at this hour, but I was wondering if our old man was visiting you at the moment. You've got that right. Yes. Once again, I'm very sorry for calling so late. Goodbye. So? No good? I'm not sure what to do. He may be passionate about it, but he's always at least gives us a call. You've called everyone he plays Go with, didn't you? Hello? This is Kimiyoshi. This is Sonozaki. How did it go? Have you found the mayor? Oh, Mion-chan. I called everyone I could think of, but I came up with nothing. We can't find him. What do I do? Where could he be idling about? I put a word in the bunch of people who might have had an idea, but nobody did. I asked Nana about it, and she said we could get the men of the village together and search for him. At this hour? I mean, it's not like he's definitely gone missing. Watanagashi just happened. She thinks we should be a little bit more cautious. If we still can't find him, then we'll notify the police tomorrow morning. Whether or not we find him, though, we should refrain from making any false accusations. Oreo-san said that? Yes. If you can't trust her without hearing her voice, then I can't put her on the phone for you. No, that's fine. I understand. We'll go get the men together and search. If we still can't find them, then we'll notify the police in the morning. She'll leave it to you to organize the men. I'll be here as well as Nana's representative. Thank you. I'll get everyone together immediately. Thanks. I'll talk to you later. The significance of Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. While the festival itself is unremarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it is because of the disparity between both having a outrageous act of a form of entertainment and the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to the literature, even the residents of Onikakushi village felt fear towards the ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those weak of constitution would vomit, but it said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This was an extremely curious tale. Until now, I thought that the residents of the Onikakushi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down to those vulgar barbaric humans and cut them open like fish. And by eating them, they would reaffirm their own holiness. At least, that's what I thought. However, in what the villagers gained from this ritual is not fascination but fear, then that would suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's a possibility that the executions were meant to be as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow the religious precepts created by those of the power of their own conventions. Oh my god. Onikakushi village has been effectively ruled over by three old families called the Three Families. Without investigating the three families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of the Onikakushi village. The Three Families. The Three Families refers to the three old families who effectively came to rule Onikakushi village. To break it down, there was the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family, and each of them still exists today. Though they don't have as much control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. The three families are considered by legend to be those of whom the blood of the swamp demons runs the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the three families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Yoshichiro Kimiyoshi, is from this family. The fact that the members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Of course, as no rival candidates appear, it doesn't change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office through popular elections in the post-war era. The Furude family. The center of the village's faith since ancient times, the Furude clan has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Yashiro-sama. They were worshipped by only the people who represent the voice of Yashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power. It now consists of only the main house. The main house as well consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage may end in this generation. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. The Sonozaki family. It's said that the family had a certain police-like role in protecting the religious precepts of the Onikakushi village. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from putting them here last. Of course, today, The Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the three families has completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of the Hinamizawa. The three families are conferring with each other in a similar way to the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, essentially decides all the goings-on in the village by herself. Okay. Alright, I see you. There's some things to think about here. One, the fact that Tomotaki-san has now died first in both, like, books. Poor dude. Oh my goodness. The same way, too. The way that... I mean, we can assume that, like, on that, that third tip there, the, a late night call, was it? Yeah, late night phone call. I mean, we can assume there that they were talking to Mion, who her grandma Oreo, or Oreo, I want to call her Oreo, Oreo. Sorry, I'm really bad when there's two vowels right next to each other like that. Or that she's just making shit up and saying that grandma's saying it, so they'll do whatever she says. So that's interesting. Alright. But this is the point we're going to take a little intermission. Get your drinkies, get your snacks, get a bathroom break. Whatever you're going to be needing. We'll be right back in a couple minutes here. I'll leave it on the screen so we get some music. Alright, BRB. And we're back. Alright. So we're gonna do a quick little save. And we're gonna get through chapter 8. Alright? Hold my hand. I'm worried it's gonna get bumpy. Or sorry, chapter 9. We finished chapter 8. There was no way I'd be able to sleep. When she hung up the phone like that, I realized for the first time what kind of situation I was in, as well as who the only ally who would support me was. I waited with bated breath for Shion to calm down and call me back. What would I do if the phone rang while I was sound asleep? No matter how long I waited, however, it never rang. Exhausted, whenever my mind started to wander, I would jolt awake as though I'd heard the phone ring. In the end, I brought the cordless phone with me into my futon and went to sleep with it in my arms. Though I still didn't amount to anything. Morning came, and by that time I was pretty sure she wasn't calling back. That was when a fierce drowsiness assailed me. Damn it. This is no time for sleep, Keiichi Maibara. I slapped myself in the face a few times. Then I went to the washroom and washed my face, which was something I usually didn't do. That wasn't enough either, so I even brushed my teeth. After that, I was finally wide awake. When Mom saw how strange I was acting, her eyes went wide. What's wrong, Keiichi? Are you going somewhere today? Going somewhere? Yeah, to school. Keiichi-kun, you don't look so good today. Do you have a cold? I'm not sick, I just didn't get much sleep. If I space out and start talking nonsense, just humor me. I wonder what kind of nonsense you'll say, I wonder. Now I'm looking forward to it, how... I felt utterly shattered. I still hadn't picked myself back up this morning, and for precisely that reason, Reina's honest smile was a sight for sore eyes. Yo. What's up, Kei-chan? Reina? Good morning. What? Mi-chan, you look like you didn't get much sleep either. Mion had gone home early yesterday with a hangover, but she didn't look too good this morning either. Her usual cheerfulness was completely buried in shadow. Yeah. I went to bed at like 3. I'm a little tired. 3? Hey now, you can't keep staying up late. You probably read the first volume of manga, thought it was interesting, and then read the entire series, didn't you? I understand. I've done that before. I joked, trying to shake off the sleepiness. I was trying to be considerate. However, neither Mion nor Reina smiled. In fact, they didn't even pay attention. Reina's expression immediately darkened. What? Wait. Is it about the mayor? He still hasn't been found? Nope. Hey, wait a minute. What are you talking about? You can't find the mayor? Even the classroom, which is normally busting with bright, joking voices, seemed filled with a different sort of murmur today. Good morning, Keiichi-san. Have you heard? It looks like something terrible has happened. I don't really know this mayor person, but he's an old guy, right? Couldn't he have just been wandering around senile? The mayor is certainly not senile. He's a sprightly man who can teach both calligraphy and swordsmanship. He probably got lost somewhere, like me. A lost Rika? Oh, I want to take you home with me. Getting lost is only cute because children like Rika-chan do it. A worn-out old man getting lost isn't moe in the slightest. While my mind entertained dumb thoughts like that, our teacher arrived. Everyone rushed to their seats. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The class greeting was normal, but the atmosphere in the room was heavy. Some of you may have already heard, but last night, despite the late hour, the mayor never came home. Is there anyone here who has seen the mayor yesterday? One or two hands went up in silence, and they told her about having seen him. None of it seemed to be vital information, however, and everyone began whispering amongst themselves. If anyone who has seen the mayor, please tell an adult, okay? Now then, let's begin class. After that, the same old lessons began. The rumors, once quieted, blossomed in flowers again at lunchtime. I could hear a few different conversations. They were mostly related to the mayor's disappearance. Summing them all up, I came out with this. Yesterday evening, the mayor went into a meeting at the Shrine's Assembly Hall, the meeting ending after sun had fully set, and everyone left. The elder's house was a bit far from the center of Hinamizawa. It was already late, and Hinamizawa doesn't have a lot of lights outside. Nobody saw the mayor after the meeting. However, because he would have been hungry, he wouldn't have taken any side trips. He would have gone straight home. However, no matter how long his family waited, he never returned. Some thought he might have been an accident. They left no stone unturned. They searched the irrigation channels, to the water wells, and even in the rice paddies, but they didn't find him. Of course, there was a limit to how far they could search in the middle of the night. The police were going to wait for daylight, then have the young men go into town and help search. If after all that they still didn't find him, they were apparently even going to be looking in the mountains. Even now, at this moment, the adults were probably all searching for him. The more they searched in vain, and the more the time passed. The only thing that came to mind was the curse. The rumors of onikakushi, of demoning away. Had he become this year's sacrifice to Oyashiro-sama's curse, which had recently been occurring in every year? That scary possibility, which everyone thought about but nobody could say aloud, was slowly but surely spreading through the village. He was demoned away and offered as a sacrifice to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger? My classmates were whispering to each other that the curse didn't happen this year, so there shouldn't have been any sacrifices. I, on the other hand, knew. The curse did happen this year, and there were 2 people that died. This may sound strange, but I hadn't exactly thought the elder would be the one to go missing. My reasoning was clear. Shion and I should have been the higher priority than him. The 4 of us were thieves that broke the taboo and set foot in the sacred ritual storehouse. If Tomotaki-san and Takano-san had suffered mysterious deaths, then it should have been mine and Shion's turn next. This time, should have been Shion and me, eh? I laughed painfully to myself. I yelled at Shion over the phone, and I didn't want to end up in such a terrifying situation, but now that someone other than me had disappeared, I could only think that I should have been the first to go. Onigafuchi, the bottomless swamp, said to have been the place where they drowned sacrifices long ago. Just as I ran through my thoughts, the villagers must also have considered the swamp. Maybe police divers were plumbing to the depths, even now. They probably wouldn't find anyone. Not a single missing person had ever been found. They'd always suspected Onigafuchi, but not once had they ever turned up a corpse from it. After all, it was a devilishly bottomless swamp from which no one ever sinks can return. I could hear someone telling their friend that in the classroom. Now that you mention it, Satoshi-san. He left around this time of year last time, didn't he? Huh? Satoshi? I've heard that name before. He was... Right, he disappeared before last year's curse. The conversation was happening in the seat next to me, so I could hear it clearly. Didn't we search the whole village like this for Satoshi-san, too? We didn't find him either. What did we decide that was? A demoning away, right? Yeah. I heard he withdrew all of his savings and ran away from home. Someone from the police said that there was someone who saw him get in a bullet train to Nagoya Station. Ran away, huh? I wasn't that interested in the reason, which seemed understandable in this case. Everyone else who disappeared had their own little reasons, too. Either way, they were still on the run because they were criminals, or they were a corpse that couldn't be found. It's not like any of them suddenly disappeared in the thin air for no reason, but they disappeared. Someone disappeared whether the curse took a life as if by design. They may have had various understanding reasons, but they still disappeared. From that point of view, it really might have been a demoning away this time. The mayor's disappearance was the first such incident without a clear reason behind it. Of course, coming to that realization didn't help resolve anything. It looks like I messed up the seasoning today. Sorry. Normally, Reina would have devoured her lunch immediately, but today there was still a ton left. That wasn't because Reina's lunch didn't taste good or anything, though.
That isn't the case. Your lunch today is as delicious as always.
Satoko dips her chopsticks into Reina's bento box and pulls bits of food out one after another.
Yeah, delicious indeed. Today in particular, in fact.
Huh? You know those little pumpkin croquettes, right? Are you okay?
Yes. If it's your pumpkin, then it's delicious.
Did Satoko dislike pumpkin? Regardless, she forced herself to smile and shoved more in her mouth. Everyone knew. Nobody's lunch tasted very good today. Satoko kept shoveling it down, repeating her remark on how good it was. If it's that good, then I guess I gotta have some too. Satoko's gonna eat it all if we let her.
It's just so good, so I would certainly like it if Keiichi-san were to eat some as well.
Well, sometimes I have to show my adult generosity, right? Okay, don't hold back on my account. Eat enough for the both of us today. She really hated pumpkin, didn't she? That made it all the more touching to see Satoko's own brand of generosity. I grabbed her head and started stroking it. Satoko, in a somewhat exaggerated fashion, was bawling, tears streaming down her face. No way. You'll never grow up if you give away such good food. Reina, you eat some too. I only have leftover vegetable stew, but it tastes great after having it sat overnight.
Yeah, the daikon radish has such a pretty color going through it. It looks delicious.
I guess I'll have to some then. Reina reached out with her chopsticks, and at last the unusual lunchtime atmosphere began to return. That was only at our desk, though, however. The dark tales of Yashiro-sama's curse, which had recurred every 5 years in a row, didn't cease. The whole classroom remained stuck in its somber mood. Yashiro-sama's curse had happened for 5 years straight. Everyone had wanted the previous year to be the last. What was Oyashiro-sama's curse, anyway? They were going to build a dam in Hinamizawa. The people building it were bad, so they were cursed. I would admit that much. Still, the dam project was frozen years ago, wasn't it? So why was the curse stubbornly persisting? I hit myself on the cheeks to perk myself back up. Everyone was trying so hard to brighten the mood, I couldn't go straight back to thinking about the curse like that. I forced the grim story out of my mind. Driving Oyashiro-sama's curse out of my thoughts was actually a good idea. In the end, that meant that I would also be driving away the most terrifying thought of all, that I could be this curse's next target. Mion's taking a while, isn't she? How long does it take to wash your hands? Mion had said she was going to go wash her hands and left, and she hasn't come back yet. She's probably taking a little afternoon nap somewhere. What was that noise? Sorry. I just heard like a loud noise. Oh my god. Anyway. Hey, Merle, how's it going? It's going good. How are you doing, Antimatter? We are just in chapter 9 of Higurashi Watanagashi. Everyone's pretty down. I guess the mayor's missing, and Keiichi's like, damn, I thought I was gonna get hit by the curse, not the mayor. I'm sad. And that's what's happening in the book. She's probably taking an afternoon nap somewhere. I think she was up pretty late last night looking for the mayor after all. I smiled really and let out a sigh. This is the murder one, right? Yeah, it's the one where, every Watanagashi festival, Oyashiro-sama's curse kills somebody and then makes somebody else disappear. And so far this year, 2 people have died, which are, we knew them, they were Tomotaki-san and Takano-san. Tomotaki-san was a photographer that we had gotten to know, and Takano-san was the village nurse, who was super into looking at medieval torture devices, we learned. And so on the night of the festival, those 2, me and Shion, all broke into the ritual storehouse and saw some shit that we weren't supposed to see. So now Shion and I are acting real scared, thinking we're gonna disappear because the 2 we were with that night are dead. And now the mayor's missing. Today was no good. However much we tried to lighten the mood, things always came back to the mayor. It was just a no-good day. I had just transferred here recently, so the shock of the curse happening 5 years running was an unimaginably big one. Maybe I do need to appreciate that. When Michan was little, the mayor would always spoil her. When she was going through her prankster phase, he loved her like his own daughter. She told me that pretty often. I see. Mion was in shock too. Someone disappearing at all because of the curse is a very scary thing. If the sacrifice was someone you knew, though, then the shock must be 100 times worse. Satoko, as if she'd come to the same conclusion, bit her lower lip and looked down. Oh, Rika-chan was taking a while too. Maybe they're taking a nice afternoon nap together.
Rika wasn't out late. As soon as she yawned, everyone gathered around here and started saying good night, good night.
Now that she mentioned it, there was a lot of old people rubbing their prayer beads in fervent gratitude towards Rika-chan during the festival, too. An image of the indulgent elderly came to mind. Had Rika-chan discovered a way to get herself to be pampered like that? Is there a reason the old people treat Rika-chan like an idol? Is she their ideal image of a granddaughter or something?
I don't know anything about that, but I want to see Rika-chan yawning. It's probably all like, "Hoo-ah. Oh, I want to take her home." I don't personally think it's that cute. It's more like, "Gua." And she opens her mouth really wide, so if you want to see the back of her throat. Her throat? The thing in her throat? All wobbly? How?
Reina, please. Reina's handy at times like these. I finally managed a heartfelt laugh. Oh, right. I'm on day duty today, aren't I? I need to go water the flower garden. Their gardeners are outside the teacher's lounge, too, so they can immediately tell if you don't do it right.
I think Satoko-chan is cute. Not only Rika-chan. Ooh la la. I can't breathe. How?
Reina has weird taste, huh? Yeah. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I got a glimpse, and it was so cute.
Satoko-chan's so cute. Oh shit.
Satoko-chan's so cute. I'm gonna take you home.
Reina was squeezing her hands around Satoko's neck and trying to get a look at her throat. You know, Reina is... I can't say it out loud, but she's a notorious beep, isn't she? Hearing Satoko make a weird noise like a chicken being strangled was kind of hilarious, and I couldn't help but laugh. At some point, the classroom had erupted into laughter, too. Maybe Reina was doing it on purpose. Even if she wasn't, this nonsense was a welcome sight. Anyway. Let's get over to the flowers while I still have time. Slowly and quietly, lest I destroy the room's newfound peace, I left the classroom. The watering can was hanging up outside the kitchen. This building had originally been an all-male forestry service building, so there was apparently nothing so thoughtful as a garden here before. When they decided to have the school share space, they built one at the modest gesture of appreciation. But, well, the flower bed, it was a little longer than you'd expect. It went all around. It went all over the place. It was so big one would need to refill the watering can 5 or 6 times to get it all done. I was doing this together with a kid who was also thankfully on day duty today. She was in the lowest grade, though, and a full size smaller than even Rika-chan. I couldn't make a kid who would struggle just to lift the full watering can help me with this. For this, if one was placed on day duty with someone who one liked, they'd do it all for you, so it'd be a cake. No point in blaming her. I give up. I'll just get started. Watering can in hand, just as I was about to leave the building, the old man from the forestry office addressed me. Sonny, there's a vegetable garden behind the warehouse, right? It's all just about dried up. Water that too, would you? Oh, you mean the curry vegetable garden? The one the potatoes and carrots and other things that are ingredients for curry? It's definitely the personal garden of our curry-loving teacher, but making students responsible for its upkeep is getting them involved in her personal affairs. I couldn't say that to his face, though, so I gave up and decided to carry out my day duties. The sunlight out front was strong. The great chorus of cicadas was strongly underlining how nothing was different today than yesterday. I passed by the classroom, and I don't know how it happened, but Reina and Satoko were in the middle of a huge melee. While I was gone, the kids had arranged all the desks in a circle, forming a ring, while everyone was cheering them on. Yeah, that's how it should be. Once school ended, we would need to return to the reality, where the talk of the elders' disappearance would once again be all over the place. I wanted everyone to forget about everything and have fun, just like yesterday, if only while they were at school. In that sense, Satoko's whirling elbow and Reina's backwards flying spin kick made for a pleasant sight, even if, as a result, they flipped over my desk. That's my pencil box. I'll just let it happen today. I set to work, hastily watering everything, wanting nothing more than to be done as soon as possible. That should about do it. No sooner had I thought that than I remembered that I had to water the teacher's curry vegetable garden, too. It's such a pain, but I have a feeling that it'll come back to bite me if I don't. I gave up, filled the can with water again, and headed back behind the warehouse. This was a place students didn't like to go. It was always damp here, and you couldn't discard the possibility of slugs and pill bugs being around. Oh. So when I ran across her in a place like that, I was surprised. Whoa! Oh, it's Rika-chan. Don't scare me like that. Rika-chan was just standing there like a puppet, devoid of life. I was the only one who had startled here. Rika-chan didn't even seem to react to my appearance. Rika-chan? Finally, she noticed me. Her expression was clearly abnormal. There was red under her eyes, stained with tears and dirt. There were blades of grass stuck to her hair, too, and her clothes looked as though she had fallen to the ground. Rika-chan, are you hurt? Did you fall? No, that isn't... Rika-chan said the brightest voice she could manage and rubbed her eyes. She didn't look anywhere near normal, though. What happened? You weren't sleeping in the storehouse roof and then fall off or something, did you? Don't worry about me. I have something I want to ask you, Keiichi. Rika-chan walked over and clung to me. At first I thought she was playing a trick on me. Eventually, however, I realized it was so that I wouldn't run from the question she was about to ask. I shuddered. What did you want from me? She looked straight in my eyes. Her upturned eyes bored right into me. It was as though they were trying to pull the answer out of my own eyes, without actually asking the question. It was scary, so I averted my eyes from hers. Keiichi, did you do something bad on the night of the festival? My body gave a jolt from its very core. Yeah, the background music is super good in these games. Like, they know exactly how to do it. There's even moments of, like, really good effect changes and stuff, too. Rika-chan, who was clinging to me, might have felt me shiver. A nervous tingle crawled up from my feet, and after going back up my back and freezing my entire body, it made its way into my brain. Keiichi, do you really not remember? My head began to throb. I don't understand anything. Mion asked me. Oshi-san asked me. Shion asked me. And now Rika-chan is asking me. We thought nobody knew about what we did last night, but in fact everyone knew. They all knew, and they all came to ask me. Again and again, until I admitted it. When I thought about it, it was pretty clear the whole thing was out in the open. After all, didn't Tomotaki-san's and Takano-san's deaths prove it?
Keiichi.
How should I respond? We never should have entered that forbidden storehouse, and even though I regretted it so much, what she's saying, it wasn't enough. However, I had all but decided that I was going to say, I'm not exactly a good kid, you know. I've done lots of bad things, and I can't remember anything specific. Just as I had all the others, I evaded the question. Rika-chan stared up at me with innocent eyes. Her eyes were so painful that I had to look away. After a few moments of mutual silence, Rika-chan released me.
I'm sorry for asking you something so strange. Please forget about it,
she said, smiling her usual smile. Then, tap, 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 she went running off as if nothing had happened. As she retreated in silence, I could feel her accusing me. Rika-chan. If she didn't hear my voice, then I was going to give up. However, she heard it. Rika-chan swirled around and waited for me to continue. I was the one who had questions now. Still, asking any of them could just be a half-assed way of admitting what I did. Hey, Rika-chan.
What is it?
If everyone knows anyway, then I should be able to at least ask this, right? Why is everyone asking me about the night of the festival? That evening. Had I done something that was wrong? I felt plenty sorry about it, and I only looked away. I didn't break anything or steal anything. Really? Is Rika some sort of priest? Yeah. Okay, so Rika is the head of the Furude family. Her parents are both dead. Furude is one of the 3 leading families in Hinamizawa, and the Furude family is in charge of the shrine for Oyashiro-sama, their guardian deity god thing. And so she's basically the only person left alive in the family, so she is the voice of their god. She is the only shrine maiden. Yes, they basically worship her as the voice of the god. So yeah. Still, Tomotaki-san and Takano-san, they died so miserably. Since those two had come to such an end, there's obviously no way it would forgive only me. Rika-chan cutely tilted her head in confusion and waited for me to say something. If I were to admit what had happened that night, though, she might suddenly go 180 as if flipping a switch. That would make sense. Rika-chan was the shrine maiden. She was the least likely to forgive me for breaking the taboo, wasn't she? Upon reflection, wouldn't telling her be more terrifying than telling Mion or Oshi-san? Rika-chan could only just give up and leave, couldn't she? She didn't. She only was quietly waiting for me to say it myself. Say it, Keiichi Maibara. If you really are sorry, then you should just say so. Of course, it's normal to hesitate, given the crazy way Tomotaki-san and Takano-san died. A pulping machine called chaos was grinding in my brain. The juice wrung out of it turned into big droplets of sweat which began to fall. Yeah, we all have that one friend who can talk to God. Totally normal. Exactly. Keiichi. Rika-chan suddenly straightened up, trying to pat me on the head. I don't really understand what you're so worried about, Keiichi. I had nothing to say to that. I lowered my head a little so Rika-chan's palm could reach it. She patted me, kind of like one would pat a cat. Do you know about the big storehouse a little way behind the shrine grounds? It stores the implements we use for rituals. My breath literally stopped. Rika-chan, though, wasn't acting in a coercive way at all. Apparently, on the night of a festival, a cat snuck into the warehouse. A cat? Yeah, a cat. Meow meow. Rika-chan knew. She realized I was in fear. I could tell she was desperately trying to choose the right words so that she wouldn't scare me. The cat always wanted to explore inside the storehouse, but I was mean to it and never let it go inside. So on the night of the festival, the cat, it just couldn't hold itself back any longer, and it went inside. The cat. It was clearly supposed to be Takano-san. Or wait, was it supposed to be me? Inside, there were actually lots of things that scared the cat. Rika-chan made a cute gesture like a ghost was coming out to frighten me. The cat was both terrified and amazed. It ran away as fast as it could. Clatter, clatter, shiver, shiver. Meow, meow. It was terrible. This cat, who are you saying it was? The cat is a cat. Meow, meow. Rika-chan still avoided saying it. The cat, though, was without a doubt me. Rika-chan, please tell me. The cat, what should it do now? Maybe it was a desperate question to ask. I had sort of admitted to being the cat. The cat is just a cat, so it can just keep meowing and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine? That's stupid. Shouldn't it just keep meowing? Jeez. Rika-chan and I have put together an entire conversation using cat as a code word. Okay, this kid isn't normal. What do we see inside the storeroom? The storeroom was filled with ritual tools that they had used in the past. See, Hinamizawa, all the descendants, the three head families especially, have the most in them. We are all descended from demons, so everyone has demon blood in them. The three families have more of it, you know, family lineage, whatever the logic there is. But these demons back in the day would eat humans, right? And so the rituals so that the demons didn't eat all the humans that were in the village that, you know, eventually they had come to live with, marry, have children with, they didn't want to eat those people. So they started making these rituals to go get humans from outside and eat them. And in this storeroom that we broke into was the remnants of all these ritual tools that they would use to torture and dismember and disembowel and behead people. A lot of, like, murder machines, basically. Murder tools, you know. Because Watanagashi is the festival that they hold every year. That is supposed to be, like, the remembrance of these rituals. Except, you know, today, they weren't murdering people in broad daylight. They would say, oh, no, it's a festival to clean out your old futons. And Rika, being the head priestess and all that, would be the one to use one of the tools from that shed to cut open a futon, and then they would use that as part of the festival to, like, send that down the river to be like, oh yeah, we're purifying the bad spirits or whatever. But, like, back in the day, it was them killing people, and so no one's allowed in this storeroom, besides Rika-chan. And guess what? We broke in there, we saw all these tools. Takano-san was, like, an expert, because she was actually, I guess, researching the village's past, and learned about all these murder inventions and ways they killed people. And so yeah, that was what was in the storeroom, storehouse, whatever. Just a bunch of murder tools. I didn't say it directly, but I had already admitted it. I didn't want to end up like those two. I didn't want to be a sacrifice like Shion said. So there's no harm if people know about it, right? Well, it's kind of taboo. It's kind of like, it's the village's past, but nobody talks about it like that, right? Like, everyone from Hinamizawa are like, they don't talk about that part of the past. So it's kind of like, no, we never hurt anybody. We're just, like, the past they talk about is, like, coming together and, like, finding ways to overcome hardship if we work together. They kind of forget about the part about all being related to demons. At least that's what one legend says. Like, Mion, she's part of one of the other head families in the village, and she's like, what? No, we don't do that. Like, we never murdered anyone. But, like, every year someone goes missing and someone's murdered. And she's like, nah, that's the curse. That's supernatural shit. But, like, everyone from outside the village is like, no, y'all are definitely murdering people and then covering up another murder. Like, so it's, like, very taboo what they used to do and what they're still doing today to, like, preserve this kind of sealed off village. Because, like, they also feel like if you're from Hinamizawa, you're better than everybody else because you're part demon. And so, like, they don't... It's, like, kind of a taboo thing to be like, nah, we're not bad people. You know? So that's why. I feel like a lot of the younger people just aren't told these stories either. Because, like, when we were in there, Takano told us this because she had researched it. But Keiichi, the guy we play as, didn't know anything about it. And the other person we were with, Shion, kind of knew some things, but she didn't know to the extent. Mion, the green hair, right? Taboo, I see, yeah. Mion is green hair ponytail. Shion is green hair with hair down. But yeah, you got it. I didn't want to play too. I didn't want to be sacrificed like Shion had said. That's what I thought, so I stubbornly remained silent. But now, that's enough. It can't just keep meowing. The dog saw the cat making mischief and sneaking inside. The dog. That's right. It was the dog. It keeps coming to the cat and trying to get it to say that it snuck inside. After I said that, Rika-chan's expression clouded over. She was trying to hide it, but I already noticed her eyes darkening. Rika-chan? The silence was frightening, so I spurred her on. At that point, Rika-chan grinned. It's all right. I'll protect the cat. Huh? I thought for a moment that I had misheard those words, so dependable as they were. The cat is really scared, but it really isn't all that bad. I think all of the dogs are just misunderstanding. It's not that bad? The cat's worrying too much. I'll do something about it for sure. Rika-chan will do something about it? I don't even know how left from right at this moment, so Rika-chan didn't look all that dependable. It might be hard, but I'll do my best. Go for it. Yay! She clenched her fist and struck the air. Rika-chan said that the cat can just keep meowing. She said to leave it all to her. Is that really all it took? To resolve this whole thing? Will you really be alright, Rika-chan? If I don't do my best, then something bad could happen to the dogs, too. I had no idea what Rika-chan was talking about anymore. She had been talking to me under the assumption that I was aware of certain things. So at first I understood her. Around the middle, though, I stopped understanding anything. However, one thing I did know was to not worry and to leave it to her. If anything happens to Rika-chan, I'm throwing hands, bro. Rika-chan straightened up once again and patted me on the head and smiled. I was so moved by the reassuring feeling that I couldn't help but start to cry. I'm sorry. The cat. It really was just a little bit of mischief. I didn't think any of this would... It's too much of a scaredy cat. That's why it should have never seen that storehouse. And she was right. It was far too shocking for someone to see based on what little bit of interest alone. That's why they made it so difficult to look at in the first place, wasn't it? Rika-chan, What will happen to the cat? To the cats that snuck in, well, that night I had heard Tomotaki-san and Takano-san's deaths were being kept a secret. Rika-chan might not have known about it. Tomotaki and Takano? I gave a start at the sudden mention of actual names, though it's weird to do that at this point. You should forget about them. My spine froze again. Forget? Yes. It won't do you any good to remember those two, Keiichi. The more you think about it, the scarier it will get. So you should forget about them as soon as possible. She said something so enormously terrifying, without letting a smile on her face waver at all. I don't know where you heard about it from, but you should forget everything. Make your mind as clean as a scrubbed bathtub. Forget? Rika-chan, you know, don't you? You know, those two died? No matter how they died, it has nothing to do with you, Keiichi. Rika declared this in a flat voice. Nothing to do with me. So forget it. The girl before me, she was innocent and lovable, and even seemed trustworthy, but suddenly she took on another dimension. Don't get involved with their deaths. I'll help you, Keiichi. Those two contradictory statements twisted and distorted my image of the little girl in front of me. What about Shion? What'll happen to her? It might have been dangerous to mention Shion's name, but I couldn't stop myself from asking. Rika-chan saw through everything anyway. There was no way I was going to fool her and keep anything from her at this point. The younger of the sister cats? Meow meow? Yeah, the little sister cat. Never mind, she's a demon. Rika-chan appeared to think upon this for a moment. It was hard for me to endure even this momentary silence. The big sister cat is angry. The little sister cat did something bad, so she's really mad. The big sister cat. That could only be Mion. I recall being questioned by her yesterday. Keiichi, the big sister cat is not in a good mood at all. I think we should leave her alone for a while. Not in a good mood. Those words sent a shiver through me. Mion was mad. She was mad, and that entered the ritual storehouse. Let's stop having club from now on. Huh? Why? I think we should leave her alone. Rika-chan ended her sentence with such a force that I couldn't say anything in response. Hey, Keiichi Maibara, don't disobey Rika-chan right now. She's the only one who said she'll help me right now. I'll leave things to her, just as she said to. I mean, she even said that the cat should just keep meowing. I'll forget everything, just like she said. I'll leave everything to her. I'll forget everything about Takano-san and Tomotaki-san and what I did last night. Just then we heard a bell, far away, marking the end of our lunch break. I guess we should go back to class. Keiichi. As if she had noticed how miserable I was, about to leave everything to her and flee the scene, Rika-chan called out and stopped me. If the misunderstanding dog comes to try and bite the cat, just tell me, okay? The misunderstanding dog. She put it in such a cute-sounding way, but the true meaning was behind those words was an eerie one. Who is the misunderstanding dog? The dog that bit the mare. I don't know how, I don't know why it did that. If it is going to bite anyone, it would have been the trickster cat first. The flow of blood in my body felt like it would completely stop for a moment. Rika-chan had admitted it. The sacrifices of that terrible calamity. She admitted that they were about to happen again. It would be Shion or I. I didn't know what was true about the girl standing before me. My suspicions gave way to fear, and nearly began to change into anger. Was she a savior who could protect me? Or a stranger, trying to capture and kill me for the sake of a horrible tradition? I had no idea what was true. I'm sorry. The cat is already scared, and I said something to scare it even more. I'm really sorry. Rika-chan bowed so quickly it looked like her head was being pulled downward. Still, she was right. I was cowering. I could distinctly feel my body shaking violently. So when Rika-chan reached her hand out to pat me on the head, I pulled away without thinking. I am so... Rika-chan made a very sad face, but I just couldn't bring myself to put my head out for her again. Oh. That day, Rika-chan said she wasn't feeling well for club activities, and suggested we not bother. There's always vetoes when someone doesn't feel up to it. Rain and the others seemed really disappointed. The big sister cat is not in a good mood. I remembered Rika-chan's words and quietly stole a glance at Mion's expression. If I could forget the way she questioned me yesterday, though, her behavior was the same as it always was. Oh boy. After dinner, without the energy to watch TV, I climbed into my futon in my bedroom and let my head overtake by gloomy thoughts. I told Rika-chan everything, anything and everything. She had seemed trustworthy at the time, but had that really been the right choice? The more I looked back, the less I understood what Rika-chan was saying. Not only did she know about Takano-san and Tomotaki-san's death, but she spoke of them as if they were a concerned party. After all this time, in my futon, I began to tremble fiercely. Had I been lured in by Rika-chan's sweet smile and told her things I shouldn't have? I should have continued to feign ignorance. I shouldn't have shown her such a weak side of me. My emotions were a mix of regret and fear, and it colored the darkness of the night with an additional layer of terror. Suddenly, a knock. I might have yelped. That's how surprised I was. Keiichi, I've been calling your name for a while. You have a phone call. It's from Sonozaki-san. It was Dad. I reached out for the cordless phone through the gap in the door. Sonozaki-san? Which one? The older sister or the younger? I don't know. Ask her yourself. I took the receiver and buried myself in my futon again. Hello? Mion? Or is it Shion? It's me, Shion. Good evening. I practically jumped out of bed. It was Shion, who I'd hoped so desperately would call me back last night. Shion, I'm sorry about last night. I got all riled up. I heard what sounded like a deep sigh on the other end. You and me are in the same position, aren't we? I shouldn't have blamed you for everything like that. I'm sorry, so please cheer up. I called you because I'm in a better mood. If you're sorry, then I'll forgive you, so please just stop apologizing. Shion's tone still sounded a little angry, but for the moment, she had forgiven me. You're right, too. We're tied to the same fate. Making sure the other is alright is the only way to guarantee our safety. Yeah, I agree. We absolutely need to share whatever information we have, so that we don't die like Takano and Tomotaki-san did. I forced myself to swallow a solid drop of saliva. Then, let's continue where we left off. You'll listen without getting angry this time, right? Yeah. I'll be fine. Firstly, it seems sneaking to the ritual storehouse was more of a taboo than we thought. Takano-san and Tomotaki-san's miserable ends, terrible enough that you could call them a warning, they were more than enough to make me believe that. The culprits killed those two, the ones responsible for sullying the storehouse, and they'll come for us next. I know you want to deny that, but please accept it. It'll be too late to believe me after you've disappeared, okay? I got it. You can never be too careful, after all. I don't want to accept it either. To think that sneaking a peek at that museum of torture devices deserves death like that, I don't want to believe it. That's what a taboo is. For those who honor it, if one breaks the taboo, no matter how small or innocent their intentions were, they wouldn't be forgiven. Let's report anything you've noticed that seems strange. If we connect all the tiny pieces that we have, then just maybe we'll find out who's killed them, or maybe even the truth behind the incidents of the previous years. How did those two die? Tomotaki-san was found in a pool of his own blood. Autopsy showed that he had clawed out his own throat and then, suffocated. Takano-san was found in the mountains in her underwear, burned alive. You're right. You're right about that. All I was doing was waiting in fear, but Shion had already thought that far ahead. Given how trustworthy she felt, I began embarrassed over how passive I was being. Then I'll start, since I suggested it. I feel like somebody's been watching me lately. Oh, lovely. What? It might be my imagination, but I'll tell you anyway. I think it's just me, but if you feel like you're being watched too, Kei-chan, then maybe it's not just my imagination? Well, don't worry. At the very least, everything's been fine for me, I think. As I spoke with Shion, I thought back on today. I had no grounds to say everything was fine. I see. Then I suppose it was my imagination, but be careful too, Keiichi-chan. Especially be careful when you're by yourself in public. I'm in Okinomiya, so I won't be alone very often, but you live in Hinamizawa. There will be a lot of times you're alone. Please be extra careful. You're right. Yeah, I'll be careful. Also, about my sister. Has she been acting strange lately? Your sister? Oh, Mion, right. What do you mean by acting strangely? Well, yesterday she came to me and asked me where I was on the night of Watanagashi. What? She asked me that too. The day before yesterday, I think. Mion asked me. I see. I told her I wasn't there. What did you say? I did the same thing. I just dodged the question. Both of us gave a quiet sigh of relief. Ever since the night of the festival, my sister has been acting strangely. We can't be too careful, so just be aware, okay? Mion was acting strangely? Aside from her asking me about the night of Watanagashi, she hadn't seemed too out of the ordinary. At least, from my point of view. Her twin sister, though, was saying she was acting weird. Maybe it was such a slight change that the stranger like me couldn't be able to notice. Got it. I'll start being careful. I always have Reina with me on my way back from school, so I shouldn't end up alone with Mion very often. Please be careful. If there's anything that's bothering you, you can tell me. Alright. Okay, then there's anything you want to tell me, Kei-chan? My turn. That's right. Maybe I should report on Oshi-san asking me the same questions at the library. Oh, that time when you were too slow to escape? Yeah. Oshi-san asked me to pretty forcefully whether I was with Takano-san or Tomotaki-san that night, and whether I had seen you or not. Oshi-san seemed to have seen all four of us together. From the police's point of view, that would make us the last people that had seen with them. I suppose, given that, it's only natural they'd be interested in us. I evaded the question then, too, but that might have just made them more interested. There was no way I could have tricked the sly old fox, Oshi-san. My troubled countenance have only made him even more certain. Hey, Shion, since they're the police, shouldn't we just tell them? I mean, considering our situation, I think having them on our side would be a good thing. Shion didn't answer right away. For a few moments, all I could hear was her breathing as she thought about it. Now that I think of it, Oshi-san, and there was something possibly shady about Mion. At least I think that's what she said. Yeah, he definitely did. As I explained yesterday, the Sonozaki family holds a lot of influence over Hinamizawa. Oshi-san is under the impression that the whole village, with the Sonozaki family at the center of it all, is responsible for the reoccurring freak deaths. The whole village is behind them? With the Sonozaki family at the center? Please don't get angry like you did yesterday and just listen. I hammered the phone before I got too upset. During the Hinamizawa Dam Wars, the priest who everyone was anticipating to lead the anti-dam movement acted as though we were unrelated. So the Sonozaki main house rose up and took charge. My sister told you about the little battles that happened, right? Yeah. All the Hinamizawa got together and fought as one. They held protests, brought it to court, and even appeared on TV. In reality, there were many things that happened that were far more extreme. Under the surface, the Sonozaki main house was doing all sorts of illegal things to oppose it. They were acting illegally? For example, they would sneak into the construction site in the middle of the night and steal equipment, or break it, or put sugar cubes in the gasoline tanks of the construction vehicles. Sugar in the gasoline tanks? Why would they? You don't know? It's practically the representative of guerrilla tactic. It was used in the underground organizations in France in World War II, for one. When you put sugar in, the engine gets burned out and breaks down. That's pretty bad, though, isn't it? It was destruction of property and nothing less. When they beefed up the guard at the construction facility, the family turned to attacking important construction personnel who worked there. The government officials who had given permission for the construction, for example, received all kinds of threats. Not just from people at the prefectural office either. Apparently this reached as far as the Ministry of Construction. As far as I've heard, they even kidnapped a child once. Kidnapped? Yeah. The child of an important person in the Ministry of Construction, who was in charge of the Hinamizawa Dam, got spirited away. Then one day, all of a sudden, he was rescued in the Takatsudo Mountains, which were upstream from Hinamizawa. Apparently, there were never any criminal accusations, but people whispered that it had been a threat to stop the dam construction from happening. Besides that, there were stories about so many different threats that I couldn't possibly list them all. That's sort of bad, isn't it? Kidnapping a child, sort of bad. Right in the middle of the whole thing, the first incident happened. That's when the dismemberment of the construction manager occurred. People whispered that the Sonozaki family had brought out the principal offender, but of course he fled and they still haven't found him. Yo, demons got guerrilla tactics? Yeah. When she put it that way, the Sonozaki family definitely seemed suspicious. Oshi-san even seems to think that the criminal was erased so he wouldn't talk, which is pretty reasonable of him. It's even enough to make me think that the Sonozaki main house is doing some really shady things behind the scenes, even though I'm related to them. Are you telling me to believe that? That the Sonozaki main house where Mion lives has done all these bad things? You're telling me to believe it? Even if you don't, Kei-chan, the villagers do. While they oppose the dam upright and lawful ways, the Sonozaki house did the dirty work for him. Everyone believes that they fought for the front, so they didn't take the brunt of the criticism. So they're respected as some sort of heroes of darkness? I think I'm only really know one part of it. For example, the really bad stuff, like kidnapping. I think only a handful of people even know about it, including Grandma. The Sonozaki family is secretive, after all. Secretive, huh? A family so unforthcoming. Even Shion, who is related to them, doesn't know everything about them. The Sonozaki family. Unlike Shion, her older twin Mion was deeply involved with everything, and that was not a fun thought to entertain. My sister, though young, was the one who acted as the center of the illegal resistance movement. Mion was? What do you mean? Well, our dad was a big-shot Yakuza. Even when she was little, my sister managed to subjugate a bunch of her younger street rats. Then, she played all sorts of tricks on them but just generally got in their way. Mion did that? Now she's pretty laid back, so it might be hard to imagine. They put her in charge of everything, from property damage to threats and even acts of violence. though since she was a kid, they could never get released pretty easily. She learned that her age could be used as a weapon. It may have been indiscreet, but I couldn't help but chuckle dryly. She may have been young, but she was certainly still Mion. Even back then, she had already been known for her craftiness. It's nothing to laugh about. Please take this seriously. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Shion had gotten pretty angry at me. Well, her delinquency soon got her into a position of authority in the Sonozaki main house. It's not unthinkable that Oshi respects them for a dismemberment incident, and the later ones too. For a few moments, I was dumbstruck at the tales of Mion's past. None of them matched the image I had of her. A younger Mion, dirtying her hands with all sorts of crimes, giving the damn construction project hell. As the successor of the Sonozaki main family, she was always right at the center of the vortex of strange incidents occurring year after year. Was that really the Mion I know? Maybe the one I know isn't the real Mion. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't bring myself to accept these images of Mion that I was hearing from another person. Back to the main subject. I just wanted you to know that my sister is someone worth being cautious around. Please be careful. I didn't want to understand. Mion was a fantastic friend. She would never do something to back me into a corner like that. She did ask me pretty harshly about the night of the festival, but even that, it wasn't like she'd said it mean or anything. Alright, I'll make sure to be careful. We're sisters related by blood, but within the Sonozaki family, we're basically a different class. I want you to recognize how distant they are from me. Please. The more Shion tells me about Mion, the less I understand who Mion is. The Mion I know wasn't a dangerous person. She joked around, she smiled, and was full of passion. Oh man. Now that I'd realized I held such a view towards her, Shion was telling me to change it. To be careful around the best friend ever. To doubt her. The idea was really sad and painful. Now, about Oshi-san. If you think it's a good idea, then I think we should give him the information he needs. I think getting the police on our side will work in our favor. You thought so too, Shion? It's just, at the moment, like I explained, the police have their eyes on the Sonozaki family already. Oshi-san in particular completely believes that they're the masterminds behind the serial incidents. That includes me, of course. So, I don't really want much to do with Oshi's. I see. If Oshi-san had found out about the Sonozaki family's strife-filled history, then he probably wouldn't be very happy with Shion either. At last, I understood Mion's instinctive dislike for Oshi-san. It's probably out in the open at this point, but try not to give my name to him. If you agree on that, then I don't think there's a problem with you telling him anything. I got it. I won't mention your name. The police's investigation ability should be quite a reliable weapon for us right now. If Oshi tells you anything interesting, just let me know as well, okay? Of course. Yeah. We'll share the information and investigate together. Who killed Takano-san and Tomotaki-san? Who is after us? Until we know, we need to defend ourselves. Anything else? Besides what Oshi-san told you, I mean. If anything else has happened, no matter how minor, please tell me. Aside from my discussion with Oshi-san? Oh. Should I tell her that I revealed everything to Rika-chan? Rika-chan was acting like she knew something I didn't. She told me to leave it to her, but... what? Well, Oshi-san gonna die. That's right. When I was talking to her, I mentioned Shion's name, too. Was that a mistake? I felt like Shion would get angry. Nothing else? Kei-chan? I remained quiet for a little while, so Shion encouraged me to speak, unable to bear the silence. As I struggled with what to say, Shion addressed me instead. Well, it doesn't sound like it, so can I ask you something? I just heard this myself. Is it true that Old Man Kimiyoshi went missing? The Old Man Kimiyoshi? My gut told me that it was the name of the mayor. You mean the mayor? Wait, Shion, you haven't heard? I don't know anything. I just overheard my dad talking about it on the phone again. I realized I shouldn't have said that. Here in Hinamizawa, the things that happened around this time, when Oyashiro-sama's curse would occur, would all be covered up. Yeah. Actually, last night after the meeting, he didn't come home, so all of Hinamizawa was confused. They searched all through the village, but if they found him, I haven't heard. The police should be searching for him as well. Why didn't you tell me something like that important right away? That not Shion? I'm beginning to think that too, man. I'm beginning to wonder who we're actually talking to on the phone, you know? She shouted angrily at me, bringing all her emotion to bear. Sorry, I thought you already knew. I didn't want to hide it from you or anything. The receiver was silent. Did Shion get mad again and hung up? Hey, Shion, hello? Kei-chan. What? What should I do? Shion's tiny, confused voice sounded like it belonged to a different person than the one yelling a few seconds ago. What's wrong? Tell me. We're not keeping secrets from each other, right? Shion hesitated for a long while, but then she confessed. I'm sorry. Well, I didn't mean to hide it. It was just that, well, the conversation got turned around and we're on the same side, right? I won't get mad, so just tell me honestly. Shion still hesitated for a few moments. Then in a resigned voice she continued. Old man Kimiyoshi, I told him everything. Shion seemed to think I would yell at her right after she'd said that, so I heard her catching her breath. Contrary to what she thought, I was a little relieved. Shion had done the same thing I had done when I confessed everything to Rika-chan. So, in a gentle voice as I could, as not to set her off, I responded. Old man Kimiyoshi, he's someone you feel comfortable confiding in, Shion? Yes. He would. When I was little, he was always really nice to me. Shion felt the same pain the rest of us from the mayor's disappearance. She had a different kind of strength from Mion, and as she continued, her voice sounded truly sad and pained. All I did was play tricks on him, but he would always just smile. He listened to anything I had to say. He was such a kind person. Calm down, Shion. It's not like he's dead, right? Don't lose heart so easily. Shion didn't answer. Even as I said it myself, I didn't think we'd ever find the missing mayor again. We probably wouldn't even figure out if he was alive or dead. Shion must have been thinking the same thing. I wonder why isn't Keiichi panicking right now? Okay, so if Shion told Kimiyoshi everything, right? And I told Rika everything, and now the mayor's missing. I just feel like Rika's gonna be missing, and that's not good. That night, I told the mayor that we were snuck into the ritual storehouse. Also that someone saw us and was out to get us. Does the mayor know how absurdly Takano-san and Tomokachi-san died? Yes, he knew about it. I told him they were died by Oroshiro-sama's curse and that I could be made a sacrifice to calm his anger. I just said it straight out. Right. What then? Old man Kimiyoshi didn't get angry. He smiled, and then told me if I was properly sorry about it, there's no way I'd be demoned away. He was really smiling, and he told me to leave it to him. Isn't, like, Rika super important, taboo or not? She is super important, but she is just one little girl, and the Sonozaki family is a whole family and is Yakuza's, and basically owns like this village and the city over and could do whatever the fuck they wanted and probably doesn't care that Rika is the Shrine Maiden because in their eyes I'm sure they could just be like, yeah, we speak for God now. That's how I see it anyway. Until Shion stopped sobbing, I wasn't able to find any words for her. I couldn't imagine what kind of person the mayor was, nor what Shion's relationship with him was like. Words of comfort, however, mean so much to us when we're about to be crushed by anxiety. Today, Rika-chan taught me that, too. If someone was to give such a sense of security were to disappear, then I guess that would kind of shock Shion was in. It's my fault. Because I revealed everything. Stop it, Shion. It's not your fault. No, it is my fault. I told him everything. Old man Kimiyoshi found out about everything. So, he must have been killed. It was right after I told him, after all. He disappeared the same night that I confessed, and he told me everything was going to be all right. He found out. So he became involved. I should have never told him. All of this should have just been our fault, only the four of us. It wasn't something I should have told someone else. He got killed because I told him. He got killed because he knew. He got killed because I revealed it. Hey, stop. If they were doing that, they would obviously have killed you before killing the mayor. The order's all wrong. You or I should have been killed first. Why the hell would they do someone else to get killed first? No, it's in order. They must be planning to kill us last. What? What? They're not killing the first people who came to mind. They start by killing those close to us. And after they caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. I said calm down. Shion, you're in shock. You're panicking. The mayor's disappearance has nothing to do with you. It's unconnected. It's not related to Takano-san or Tomotaki-san dying at all, either. My words came out as a scream, as if I were shouting them at myself. No, it is connected. It just has to be. I told him, and he was killed. He got killed because he knew. I confessed to him, so he got killed. She repeated the same thing as before, as though I were in a delirium. Despite my trying to console her, the crazed Shion, for some reason the shadow at my feet began to freeze. From that shadow, a cold arm reached out, so cold it seemed like it would freeze even my heart just by touching me, and grabbed my ankle. The heat generated my body, the arm absorbing it. It was horrible. Chill. A freezing cold, numbingly frigid. It was an inviolable chill of fear. Though I sympathized with Shion, I had been naive in thinking it was something only she had to worry about. In my head, Shion's eerie words repeated again and again. He was killed because I told him. He was killed because he found out. I confessed everything. So he was killed. Those words echoed in my head like a monotone mantra, and finally, those even repetitious took a meaning. The quiet shaking that had already overtaken me turned into a violent shiver that shot up my spine. Rika-chan. It's Rika-chan. What? What did you say just now? Well, the truth is, I told her about it. I told Rika-chan. Today. Rika-chan. You mean Rika-chama? The one from the Furude Shrine? Yes, Rika-chan. I felt so scared and uneasy that I did it. I told Rika-chan. What did she say? The cat is worrying too much. I'll do something about for sure. That's what Rika-chan said, and then she smiled. She smiled just like the missing mare, and then he encouraged Shion. I'm sorry, Shion. I'm worried about Rika-chan. Oh, right. If you're that concerned, then don't worry about me. Please go find out whether she's safe. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll call you again tomorrow at the same time. When I do, you'll know I'm still alright. I got it. I'll be waiting. Okay. Bye. Sorry. I'm hanging up. I put down the receiver while waiting for Shion to say goodbye. The danger of Shion and myself was secondary at this point. My sixth sense was blaring alarms in my head. I don't like this feeling. It's really bad. It's definitely bad. Damn it. Please be safe, Rika-chan. I assume this is the ending, so it's a big old cliffhanger. Yep. We got new tips, though. That's a really ominous tip. Their punishment's not over. Alright, view new tips. Show me. More from the scrapbook. Alright, let's go. Now he's panicking. Exactly. I was wondering when he'd, piece it together in his own head. Alright. The three families in modern times. As previously described, the Three Families Council today is a mere shell of democracy. In reality, it is a dictatorship run by the Sonozaki family. I knew it! I fucking knew it! Both the Kimiyoshi and Furude families are from their former glory, and it doesn't seem like they've maintained the ancient traditions. Only the Sonozaki family has retained their glory from the past and has inherited many colorful traditions from the age known as the Onikakushi village. Even the most recent, verifiable example of Watanagashi that occurred at the end of the Meiji era seems to have been done under the orders of the Sonozaki family, referred to the three families' genealogical tree from the late Meiji. After the start of the Meiji era, the Sonozaki family wanted to push the development of Hinamizawa village, so they took a strong role in leadership. During the dam wars a few years ago, the Kimiyoshi family served as their chair opposition alliance. But this was only in name only. In actuality, the Sonozaki family reigned as leader behind the scenes. So much for the three families, right? That's what I'm saying. I knew it. I knew the Sonozakis were up to this shit. People whisper that perhaps the Kimiyoshi family dictated acts of opposition that could be publicized, and the Sonozaki family enacted those which could not. Even in Hinamizawa, they whisper that the multitude of unsettling incidents reported during the dam protests, such as the kidnapping of the famous head of ministry's construction son, had been carried out by the Sonozakis. Additionally, they say that perhaps the Sonozaki family's secret maneuvering was responsible for the serial freak death incidents that have continuously occurred in recent years. The serial freak death incidents are without a doubt the second coming of the traditional Watanagashi. They must be enacting the Watanagashi on the day of the original Watanagashi, which has fallen to the level of an ordinary village festival, in order to remind the villagers of the holy laws of the onikakushi village. It's safe to assert that exploring the Sonozaki family is the fastest route in researching it today. If I can expose the contents of the Furude Shrine storehouse, I'd like to narrow my research target to the Sonozaki family next. The Sonozaki house is strictly guarded by security cameras on the premises, and thankfully, I've become acquainted with the sisters Mion, the next heir, and Shion. I want this to be a breakthrough I can connect to my next line of research. It's too bad you're dead. I'm so sure that this is Takano's journal, scrapbook, whatever. She is very dead. No, don't worry about it. You see, when you order the ode on here, for some reason it ends up on an annual invoice of the gas contracts, so don't be shy and have another drink. The man, red-faced, waved his hand to say that he'd had enough, and disappeared into the brilliant neon lights at the front station. Kuma-chan, you should be taking notes. The most modest people are the ones who live the longest. Was all that true? Well, I don't know about that. Whether or not it's true, I think there's meaning in hearing something that sounds implausible. Sounds so plausible. Would something like that be a motive to go for the mayor? Kuma-chan, here's what I always say. The motive only has to be enough for the person in question. You need to think about how different people value different things. Hey bartender, give me another mug. Though we have been suppressing the information, Tomotaki and Takano's deaths were already known throughout Hinamizawa. All of the rumors pointed to them having incurred the wrath of Oyashiro-sama for setting foot in the Forbidden Temple, the storehouse for the ritual implements. According to the rumors, there were two other people who went in there with them, Shion Sonozaki and Keiichi Maibara. People were whispering in the shadows that those two would be cursed by Oyashiro-sama as well. Apparently, however, the responsibility didn't fall solely on four trespassers' shoulders. Until last year, it was locked up tight, but this year, it had been changed to a simpler lock. Hadn't that been that allowed thieves to enter so easily? Those were rumors going around. Have you seen it, Kuma-chan? I remember it well. I had to go there for something quite a while back. Sorry, I don't really remember. It was locked up so tight it was scary. There were those really heavy bars holding it shut. It was sealed up as good as a bank vault. This year, it was just a simple cheap padlock. The lone girl protecting the shrine, Rika Furude, disliked the heavy locks and consulted with the mayor, who had replaced it with a simpler padlock. So then the mayor and Rika Furude share the crime. So then, after the mayor, wouldn't Rika Furude be in danger next? It's a decent possibility, Kuma-chan. I want you to contact all the cars we have in Hinamizawa. Tell them to stick near the Furude shrine. Got it. Ah, I see. So they might have been getting it anyway. Rika and the mayor. They had their own shit going on. I got you now. interesting anyway. That was a lot to unpack, these 2 chapters. Oh my. So who knows if that's Shion or Myon on the phone? Still, that can't be good. I know. Either way, it's gonna be bad. What are the odds that the people who like Shion and Keiichi confess the crime to are the 2 that like were also on the radar for being demoned away? That is what a coinky dink that is, huh? But yeah, wow. No, we gotta be getting near the end. The last book only had 12 chapters, so might only have a session or 2 left of this. I mean, shit's already getting off the rails, but like, I should wait until the very end to give all my thoughts, but like, this one does feel like a lot slower and a lot less of a burn than the first one. Like, the first one, it's like started ramping up, panic, we're all gonna die. And this one, it's like, it's a lot more chill, I guess. It's still scary, but the first one, it's like the dread felt more real. I think it's maybe because Keiichi was completely alone, like he didn't have anyone to help him in the first book, whereas this one, it's like, at least he's in the same boat as Shion, but I guess at the same time, we don't even know if that's Shion or if it's Myon. For all we know, Myon's already killed Shion and is just pretending to be her. We don't know. Yeah, because I got that vibe a little bit on some of the phone conversation. Was like, are you really Shion? I don't know. But yeah, so that's where we'll wrap up here. Stream schedule, I don't have it done yet, so I don't know what we're doing Monday, ? But that should be going up tonight or sometime tomorrow. So if I don't see you in the next stream, so false hope, nice, yeah. Exactly. I mean, this series is pretty famous for giving false hope, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that, yeah, that's probably it. Anyway, if I don't see you guys in the next stream, I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a good day, morning, evening, night. Bye-bye.